This is Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. Still want to throw that snowball, kid? Best part of the whole movie. Don't mess with the postman. All right, and we got Jordan Christensen on the pod.
You guys will never believe what I just saw.
And we'll soon have Cameron Mickle if he decides to show up. So,
yeah,
if he had a quote, it'd be, "He's flying." I'm quoting conspiracy theory. He's flying. It was great. The kid looking out his window sees the reindeer, slow motion. That was the biggest laugh of the movie by far.
Oh yeah,
so funny.
Yeah, very clever.
Guys, today we're reviewing Klaus. Klaus? I'm assuming it's they say Klaus in the movie.
They say Klaus, yeah, but
this movie is Santa's origin story, and my goodness, is it so good? I love it.
It's
like
good.
Where does a myth or a legend come from? I remember seeing this 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2019, maybe 3-4 years ago. I remember watching this and really liking it, and I haven't seen it since. This is my second time watching it tonight, and I absolutely loved it. So funny. So funny. I love rewatch. Rewatch was even better. I enjoyed it more this time. Because I remember liking it the first time, but not knowing anything about it. I love this movie. So
dang, it's already been 4 years since it came out.
I remember 4 years ago, I was looking at the Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, oh, there's this new Santa Claus movie. I think I told you all to watch it.
I just watched it for the first time. Actually, Mom was the one who recommended it to me for the first time. Maybe
I recommended
it
it to Mom. Yeah, I mentioned it to Mom.
Well then.
I was looking for new Christmas movies, and I was like, "Ooh, it's got good reviews." And I watched it. I was like, "This was so endearing, very sweet film."
Yeah, so. I'm like so sad I hadn't been seeing this earlier because I feel like this would be a.
I wish I could go back to all the Christmases that I didn't have the Christmas spirit. You know, those joyless years. If I had this movie, my life could have been much better.
But what I appreciate and love is just like, I'm like, oh, they're making good movies for kids. Like, I have hope.
Yeah, like how he's basically like a drug dealer. Hey kid, want a toy?
Well, I just
the biggest laughs, dude. This movie's so funny.
And I love how he's totally like the most reluctant hero. Like
all it's like a little pudgy belly and everything. Everything about him just makes me laugh. His goofy hat to. He's like an Emperor Cusco.
Yes.
New Grove. That's what I always think of when I see him. Even the animation, you know, it's so cool how they did this movie. I was looking into it. It's a blend of 2D animation with 3D lighting and images. And I'm like, there's something to 2D animation that you can get that's so much more charming and whimsical than you can with the plastic waxy faces that they're all doing. Like every movie looks like Tangled now, which is fine. That's a beautiful form of animation, but they all look the same.
Yeah.
So but 2D animation, you can get some amazing images that remind me of like SpongeBob, creepy episodes like Sten and Rimpy, like weird creepy animation. There's a few times where they have like characters make these faces that are like ugly and stylized, but they're so great. Like it's so fun.
It almost feels a little bit at the beginning like a Tim Burton world, and then it slowly evolves into
It's literally what I put in my notes here. Yeah, very
Dr.
Tim Burton.
Seuss's the Who's and Whoville.
Yeah,
is it it's
funny that you say the Grinch. Yeah, The Grinch Stole Christmas, right? Yeah, definitely had a vibe of Grinch at the end, saving the sled. That was really funny. I was like, oh, dude, that's straight out of Grinch.
I know. When they all fell off the cliff, I'm like, oh, is this gonna have the same ending where everybody's just like, oh, the true meaning of Christmas is like,
and they're like, nah, psych, kids get toys, baby,
kids get toys.
Kids be getting toys.
We're sticking to the theme right now. Last week was toys.
It's all about capitalism. This one's all about the post office. So your corrupt government is your inept and inefficient post office. Oh, excuse me. We have a postal worker on the podcast.
I did not pick this movie because of that. Honestly, I was actually the first time I watched this, I was very reluctant to like it because of that. I was just like, I don't want to like this.
The post office is a thankless and soulless job.
It is. It's don't do it if you're considering it. But on the second viewing though, because I already like I couldn't believe it. I loved it more. This movie is so good.
Yeah, it holds up on rewatch, and I realized that it's the charm. It's not the humor holds up. Like I keep laughing every year. There's the funniest laughs, and my goodness.
Do your kids enjoy it? Can you show your kids? I don't know.
Yes, yeah. Dorothy's a hard sell. The only thing she likes watching is like Humpty Dumpty Sat on the Wall and Super Simple Songs and Baby Shark. But she's not a good connoisseur of films yet, but she will be. But right now, she did, to her credit, watch a lot of it. So just like any moment, there's not like if there's other kids in the classroom all talking and they're all singing, like my daughter's like glued to the screen. I don't know what it is about kids watching other kids. Or like they're just like me, and then they watch. It's so weird. Like, yeah. So she'll be like talking when the adults are talking. She's like bored, but then like when all the kids start talking in the classroom, she was like glued to the screen.
That is so funny.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But my other kids loved it. Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
Yeah.
Cameron, say hello to our listeners. Do you have a quote for the movie?
Go ahead and ring the bell. There you'll get your welcoming party.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P. Norm Macdonald. I loved him. It's so good. I'm so glad he's in a timeless Christmas movie. Now he'll forever live on.
Dude,
His
and
character was great.
Simon, what's the guy from Whiplash?
J.K. Simmons, yeah,
J.K. Simmons. Oh, Simon,
aka Byron, aka the bald man that I fear in my life.
Bald fear personified.
Guys, this movie is so great. This movie came out 2019. It was directed by Sergio Pablos. I'm saying that right. And its writers were Sergio Pablos, Jim Mahoney, and Zach Lewis. And it stars Jason Schwartzman, J.K. Simmons, Rashida Jones, Will Sasso, Norm Macdonald, Sergio Pablos, Joanne Cusack, and many others. Can I just say the voice acting in this is wonderful, just wonderful. It's great. Love this movie. And my goodness,
the guy that is in the villain from Scott Pilgrim. What's his name again? And he's in like
Jason Schwartzman. Yes, every Wes Anderson.
Every Wes Anderson ever. I just love him. Even when he first, like the movie first started, I didn't look up who was in it. I was just like, oh my gosh, like right away I recognized his voice. He's such a fun.
J.K. Simmons or Jason Schwartzman?
Well, both of them, but I recognized
Schwartzman.
Yeah, right
for
away.
Sure.
He was like perfect for that voice of the like kid, just like
of Jesper. I honestly think I think of like Emperor Cusco, like from Groove, like all the time. But anyway, I think I did just say I'm having deja vu. I just wanted to get Cameron up to date what we talked about. Cameron, what was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
Yeah, I was. This has been recommended to me actually by one of my coworkers at work. They told me that if because they know I'm super into movies, and they're like, okay, I have a recommendation for you. They're like, it's my favorite Christmas movie. And I was like, wow, that's a bold statement, because there's like plenty of masterpieces, like, and just like kind of classics over the Christmas like holidays and like the genre. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised, and especially when Jordan said we were going to do it on the pod, at just like how like well made it is, as well as like the message I thought is really beautiful. And I was impressed, kind of like Ty mentioned, like the voice acting, and just overall, I was like, wow, I can't believe I'd never heard of this. It was one of those moments where I'm like, I can't believe I haven't seen this, like, especially it being such a seasonal movie, that like I've gone this long and watched this, like, that as many Christmas movies as I have, without seeing this one. So yeah, I was really impressed. And like Ty mentioned, I talked about it in my Letterboxd review. I called it Klaus's New Groove, because it's like
this New Groove.
It's like literally such a similar character arc and story to Emperor's New Groove, and as well as the animation, that it just kind of hit a like spot of nostalgia that like just made me love it.
Yeah, the animation, dude. We gotta have to talk about that. But so I guess we'll get into two of your favorite things, Cameron. Without further ado, tell us two of your favorite things about this movie.
I think my favorite thing overall was I just loved. I thought the final scene and like just kind of made like the whole movie as well as the whole season very magical, because I thought it was very grounded like throughout, and then I just kind of loved how that like ambiguity of like, and yet at the same time so heartfelt when he says like, and I get to see my best friend every year. I just thought that was like such a beautiful part, where essentially like it's so grounded the entire movie in reality, and like a lot of the explanations like, oh, that's why people say that reindeer fly, like this and that. And then it's like, and then it just kind of brings that like magical mystery side to it, where it's like, oh, well, and he disappeared. And yet I see him every year for Christmas. I get to see my best friend. Like, I just thought that made it made it kind of like one of those where I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to show my kids this like someday. Cause like the message is super beautiful. And like the finale definitely boosted it for me. And then my second favorite thing is like, I've always been a fan of like, I just really love redemption arcs. And so, and like however that is. And so I really like this, just kind of the shift of perspective that he gains. And that I love, and honestly, it's something that I've like become more of a fan of, because I used to hate it when movies would like make the obvious error um just so they could have like a bigger redemption arc. But something that I've grown like a bigger fan of is I love it when it's not like an easy decision, and then some oftentimes they might even like make the wrong decision or even like take steps towards the wrong decision, but then like ultimately kind of figure out what they actually want. And I just love that you see it's because it just seems much more natural than like a lot of movies, especially like kid movies. It's like, oh, out of nowhere this person's character just completely changed. Whereas this, you could start to see like the steps where he's starting to question like, do I actually want to leave? Or like, I wouldn't want to stay here forever, would I? Instead of it just being like, oh, one out of nowhere being like, you know what, I'm not gonna leave, I'm gonna stay. And so I thought that the steps towards that were very believable, and it made it that much more impactful when he ended up like deciding to stay.
Yeah, that's good. Jordan, how about you? Two of your favorite things?
Definitely the animation style, and I've already
Beautiful
mentioned it.
2D mixed with 3D and lighting. It was really cool how they did this. It seems so fresh and new. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I already mentioned just how amazing and uplifting the message is. Cameron mentioned it too, but just that feeling you get, especially at the end. I mean, like Cameron said too, I mean, I was in tears. I know Cameron didn't say he was in tears, but he did say the ending was really elevated the film. And
You got to remember, Jordan, I don't feel emotions. I'm a sociopath.
Yeah,
you got to remember,
so,
Cameron. Jordan cries inappropriately in movies.
Yeah, but
yeah, Jordan's like the opposite side of the pendulum.
That's right.
I
somewhere in the middle.
Cry when appropriate, and Jordan cries when inappropriate.
I cried so many different times, just like how beautiful it is that like these kids.
I know when you cried. You cried when you saw the little one-eyed, well, not the one-eyed kid, but the little kid playing with a little frog around his room.
I mean,
Klaus was just
probably. I got so emotional just thinking about like how it is that kids like how much they can influence their parents and stuff, and how much joy they bring to their parents, and like, and how much. And I kept thinking about the younger generation. Honestly, like, I know older people always talk negatively sometimes about younger kids.
Oh yeah, we're doomed, everybody. Oh, sorry, but not to ruin your thought, Jordan.
No, but I honestly, I have the opinion, and just that like, oh, these are the people that are gonna bring us together. Like, I don't know, I just have a lot of hope seeing stuff like this. And so I think it's beautiful.
Not that redheaded ginger kid. You're a loser.
Yeah, and I love the hypocrisy, and just it made me laugh when the two groups were like, oh, this postman is brainwashing the town, and I'm like it's just so funny because it's like, have you looked in the mirror?
We need to form a peace alliance to disrupt all this peace that we're having.
But it's just like, look in the mirror, lady. Like, you have been brainwashed your entire life for all these. And and I told this to Cameron. This movie reminds me of an episode of Avatar, which I think Avatar is such a great show that teaches so many good lessons. And that episode is the one where the kid lies to these two tribes about their history just to make them finally get over their biases of their past. It's amazing because it's like how
the noble lie.
Yeah. That's literally
just switch of history and make them love each other. Yeah.
When I watched that, I was like, oh geez, this is like, Ty would be loving this, because it's like, oh, the noble lie. Yeah, well, because it's so ridiculous, like how people just can't seem to let go of history. Like, I mean, to learn from it is good, but like, so, well, that's
let
the thing.
It go, man.
Not just let go, but like learn from it. It's like, okay, this is clearly not working. Yeah. Like, what can we do?
I love, it's not even addressed, but like the Crumbs and the Ellingbows are like all getting along. Like the whole village is like lit up with lights, and everyone's like happy and cheerful, and everyone's lives are being bettered. And they're like, yeah, but we need to have our feud, and our kids are going to be learning to not hate each other. It's great. Like, that's
Yeah.
just it. Some people, old folks, are set in their ways, and then in the end, the kids, they don't care. You see them playing with each other in the yard. It's really sweet. So,
Yes, and I
one of my
love
favorite
that.
scenes. What
Yeah.
am I to do? He's got his son. He's like, he wants to play with an Elling bow. So funny.
Yeah, I know. Oh, when they're
Okay,
talking to the two
yeah,
councils,
little councils,
I
yeah.
well, and I just love that innocence of those children. Like, and I think that's so beautiful. Is like there's no divide there. It's like, who cares? We found a common interest. We can hang out. We can spend time together, and we
Do it for the kids, man.
and it's just like
I'll
and then
stand around awkwardly and sing Christmas carols if it means my kids get to feel a little ounce of Christmas spirit joy.
yeah,
Even if I don't want to make eye contact with all the other adults there, I'm like, it's for the children.
it takes all the best things from kids and the beauty of that they can just love and forgive one another. I just think that's so awesome, and they can forgive
Yeah.
because that is something that is not being taught today. I feel like a lot of the opposite lessons are being taught, like don't forgive, don't forget, and it's like this is why we should. This movie is a perfect representation of how we should live as a people, is to love. And anyways,
No. So I will say one of my favorite things was the visual storytelling. So
yes.
there's the teacher character. She's excellent, played by Rosita Jones Alva. So she used to be this teacher, and then this family feud basically stopped raising their kids to go to school anymore because they put all their energy in hating the opposing family.
Yeah.
And so she goes to this fish head where she's saving a jar so she can save up enough money to get off of this island that she's trapped on, right? So she's got this fish head. She's saving. She's got a jar of pennies that she's saving up so she can leave Smerinsburg or whatever it's called. Smerin. So she wants to leave, and there's a great scene where she keeps opening the jar, opening this fish head. So you see the camera angle from the inside of the head, closes it, opens it again. You can see that she's conflicted. She wants to help these kids, but she's like, I also want to get off the island. It's great character, visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And another scene where she has all these dead fish hanging around in her classroom, which is really funny and like really gory, which is hilarious. Like she's chopping the fish open and ripping out its spine, and hilarious visuals. But then there's like a line of all these drying, dead fish. And then there's like a picture or drawing that one of the kids did, and slowly fewer and fewer fish, but more and more pictures. It's a great passage of time / montage, visual storytelling. I just like those kinds of things. Another excellent camera work moment was when you first see the Crumb family, and then they leap back through the courtyard to where the bell was, where they fought. When he rings the bell, he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna get the welcome, and then that starts this war, this feud. When they ring the bell, it's like the war bell. But they show the Crumb family, they back out right halfway through the town, you see the bell, and then pass even further. It's just a cool camera traveling POV, and then it goes to the other family, Elling Bows. So I love that visual storytelling aspect of it. And then secondly, I'd say the humor. This movie makes me laugh out loud. And who knew that we needed the Santa Claus origin story, clever idea. This is what I was talking about when I was talking to somebody. It might have been my wife or even my kids. I was just like, no, it could have been my kids. I was disturbed. I'm like, they just don't make them like they used to anymore. Like even Santa dies, Tim Allen takes his outfit, but it's just like an original idea and a different like a fish out of water in the Santa Claus universe. Clever story, and it's a timeless Christmas movie. And there's parts of it that hold up, parts that don't. And then this movie, it's like, hey, like it's so clever that we have a grounded reality where all this could be happening, but then it's so endearing where you see like all of the tales. Like one of my favorite, like three of my favorite scenes are like the most outlandish stuff, but it happens in universe and you believe it. Like when they're trying to shut him off at the pass, they're running through the reindeer and they go flying off this cliff, and this kid like wakes up in the middle of the night, looks out his window and he sees this amazing shot, and this is the visual storytelling, like a slow-mo elegant reindeer flying through like in his windowsill, and they just go launching over into the distance into the moon, and it's such an iconic shot, but it obviously invokes all that the imagery that you felt as a kid, like that whimsy and magic, and then they go soaring into the distance. So funny. And then they, crash magnificently. But and then another.
Well, I even think, Ty, that drives home the message of like actual Christmas. It's like like children feel like it's so magical and flawless and seamless, but it's like, and same thing with like Thanksgiving dinner. It's like all those things have so much preparation and kind of chaos to it that like it's
all the work that goes into it.
Like our work we call like the paddling duck, and so we always talk about like no matter how much work you're doing behind the scenes, like you always have to show a kind of a cool face. Even though you're like under the water paddling a ton. I feel like that's what with like a lot of holidays, like parents do so much paddling under the water so the kids like it can be so magical for them.
Have you spent a weekend at my place, Cameron? You preach the choir, baby. I mean, that, like holy crap. And so which leads to my funniest scene. There's two other funny scenes. Again, just the humor in this. The other one is the scene with this snowball kid where he throws a snowball at this postman and he's like, "Hey, you're a loser," or whatever. And then like he goes down his chimney and then he sees his stocking and he's like, "No way, kid." And he's like, "Who's the loser now?" And he puts coal in his stocking. Hilarious. And then he's all like angry at the postman. He's like, "Santa Claus doesn't bring me presents. He brought me coal." And he's like, "Maybe he brought you coal because you're a selfish little brat." And he's like, "I don't think Santa
to be good to get presents."
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, well, how could Santa possibly know if I was good unless you snitched?" And he goes, "Oh, Santa can see you everywhere." And it's so funny how the lore is bred out of the fact that he's like trying to like get back at this kid.
Yeah.
So funny. And so he's an adult lying to a kid like he has the naughty list. It's like he's like, and he sees what you're doing. And so if you're not good, you don't get a toy. And then he's like, "Still want to throw that snowball," which is the funniest cinematography. The snowball's directly behind him, ready to throw, and it shifts over slightly to the postman. He's like, "Still want to throw that snowball?" And the kid's like, he like whimpers, and it's so funny. I die laughing every time. And then he's like, "That's what I thought." He turns around, tips his hat, and it starts playing this gangster music. It's like, "Don't mess with the postman." It's so funny. It literally like I burst out laughing every time I watch it. The last one I'll say, so I mentioned the humor because I just have to mention my three funniest parts. The other one is how Santa gets down the chimney. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
When he gets to the person's home, he tries to deliver the package. He's like, "Not good enough." So he like bends the bars with his hands, puts them through on the other side of the gate. There's bear traps everywhere. There's these two mangy dogs. Like those dogs are amazing. The art design for those two dogs. And they start charging him, and then he sees the board on the floor and just stomps on it. It goes launching through the air, through the chimney. So funny. And so all the lore that's coming out, it's like it's all from the things that they did together.
Yeah, and it's fun. The
so
little kids are talking to each other like, "Oh, but he's so big. Like, how could he fit through the chimney?" And I just like how
it's the magic element. Yeah, it's like
And it's interesting too, because back in the day, I feel like a lot more people would pass around stories.
Yes.
And then they would get
Lore.
fabricated and they would become these big magical things. Like, and then you could hear the kids whispering, like, "Oh, he must have magic." And it's just like so cool how it got started. And it's like, and that's really how stories get
and different aspects, right? Like it's so fitting that Jasper like didn't want to get picked on or bullied, so he just made up the story, which I love that he put coal in his stocking is almost like a get back at this kid. It's almost like mean-spirited. Klaus never would have approved or signed off on. I love that he did it. He's just like, "Yeah, you're the loser now, kid." So funny. Like, and that's the thing. Like Jasper's relationship to the kids is so funny. Like it's like when he shows up and he's like, "Hey kid, do you want a toy?" He's like it's such like a drug dealer. Yeah. He's like going around. He
opens his coat
jacket. Yeah, he's got all these letters to Santa inside. The kids
want to buy a sundial.
Yeah, it's so great. And there's so many.
He reminded me a lot of the guy from Better Off Dead. Like I've been to school here for 7 years. I ain't no dummy. his interactions with the kids in the beginning was kind of like, "Hey, I could sell you your painting for like all you have to do."
Can't you just put it in the mailbox?
I can't unless it has a postage on it.
You gotta mail it to me.
Dad, he wants to send me my own drawing. You just have to pay him for it. He's like, no, kids are.
I have no idea what he's talking about. He's totally lying.
So good. I love it.
It is funny how like his motivation, like it's so bad at the beginning and like he's taking advantage of all these kids, but like it turns out to actually be good in the end. Like one of my favorite parts is when the wind comes up behind him and is circling around him. Like the wife is basically saying like, "This man is going to do good for these people." But it's kind of like it's just funny because is not like a hero. He's just like, but
he's a flawed savior figure like Donnie Darko.
Flawed savior.
But it's so funny that he ends up helping all these people inadvertently. Like that was never his intention. It was just like he just wants to get home back to his silk sheets. But
silk sheets. So great too. I love it. And I love the change that, you know, the whole townspeople, the kids in this movie are so endearing. Like the design, you have the really creepy child that's like always shivving the Santa with a carrot. Slowly like jabbing him, pressing it in.
And I love how it's used as like a funny but uplifting part, like when everyone's being super nice because he's like putting it in the right spot.
Yes, he's putting it in his nose. Yeah, it's not like in his gut.
I love the pranks the kids are pulling on that old man in the wheelchair. He's like,
in the rocking chair. He's like, like goes skate down the hill. And then he's like wakes up one morning, he's on the roof, falls over backwards. It's so great. And then like Jordan and I were talking, like it feels almost like a Tim Burton film where there's definitely moments that are like super dark. Like they literally are like transporting a dead body. It's like wrapped up. And they're like,
I was like, oh,
it's great. And then like Mrs. Crump, she's terrifying. Joan Cusack's character, like this old raggedy lady. I mean, it just looks like a villain out of, you know, Coraline or something. So it's great though. My wife mentioned Atlantis for some reason, the animation style. But so one of the Disney animators, the what's his name? Pablos, what's his name? Sergio. I guess he was an animator for Disney. And so it's very fitting that, you know, you have feels very Disney-esque. And so it's so cool that it has that inspiration, that art style, but again, that 2D mixed with that 3D lighting.
Honestly,
it's so cool how it just creates this it just stands out. This movie pops. I love how they use all these gray colors at the beginning, but the movie's still very endearing. And then it starts getting cheerier and brighter and more colorful as the town is transformed. I love that too.
It felt like one of the older Disney movies, and that's what I loved.
Yeah, it felt like Sinbad or one of those like kind of like off the mainstream Disney ones, you know.
Yeah, like a 2D
or like Road to El Dorado kind of style, or like kind of style.
Using both, Prince of Egypt kind of thing. It's that 2D animation with the 3D, but the way they did the lighting in this, it's almost jaw dropping how beautiful this movie looks, and the way they got the glow
and
the light.
That little girl that didn't speak English, oh my gosh, she's the one that got to me the most. I just say,
so adorable.
She's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
So darling, Margot or whatever. She's like,
and I love how rude he is to her in the beginning. He's like, I don't understand what you're saying.
He tells her, saying, "Step aside, kid. No letter. I see no letter.
You see no letter.
You're trespassing.
We're closed.
We're closed." And then he like unloads on her, like he's just giving all his problems. He's like, "Hey, you're a really good listener." She can't understand.
I love the transformation of everyone.
Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, that's
except the Ellingbows and the Mrs. Crumb. They don't ever change.
That's true. Okay. But I mean, they're kind of forced into an alliance when their two kids get married, which I love.
Oh yeah, mine. Yeah, big giant girl marries the boy that saved her falling off the cliff. It's great. Very sweet.
So do we recommend it? 100% yes.
Yeah, you got to add this.
Everyone.
Add it to your Christmas list.
It might be recency bias, but I'd throw this easily in a top 10 Christmas movies of all time.
Oh, easily.
Like even without thinking, I'm like, because I know there's some good ones out there, but it's a contender for sure.
Yeah, Jordan challenged my Christmas movie because I said this is definitely a top 10 Christmas movie. He goes, "Can you even name 10 Christmas movies?" And so I went off like 27, and Jordan's like, "Yeah, see, you can't even name 10."
Yeah, Home Alone, Elf. Yeah, you can name like quite a lot of them, and you're like, oh yeah, there's a lot. Die Hard, those are like three off the top of my head.
That was on my list. Die Hard was on the
list. Again, I will speak though. Okay, I understand that a lot of people defend that it is a Christmas movie. Yeah. Just because you slap a Christmas tree in a movie, it has nothing to do with Christmas. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. I love Die Hard, and I'm willing to count it as a Christmas movie, but I understand why there's this debate. It's like just because something takes place in a Christmas season, it doesn't make the movie like a Christmas movie. That being said, go ahead, put it in your list. I'm fine with it. Like this one, it's like this movie literally is like how it all started, right? But I watch it and I'm like, this is an endearing movie I would watch any day of the week. Like somehow it does feel very Christmas like, but it's also like you can enjoy outside of the
See,
Christmas
but Ty then is technically It's a Wonderful Life, not a
Mhm.
Christmas movie then?
Yeah,
By that same logic.
I almost would agree with that, but like there's literally like Christmas is like a huge plot point of that movie,
At the
isn't it?
end,
Like,
yeah, but the beginning, it's
But
like
the most
there's
of the
just,
movie's not about it. It's just about
yeah,
some guardian
it's like
angel.
20 minutes is Christmas, while the rest of the 2 hours is.
that's fair. So it's like, yeah, so it's like Die Hard. I think you see a Christmas tree and someone says ho ho ho. So it's not Christmas. Just saying, it's definitely more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard. But I hear what you're saying. I just wanted to add fuel to the fire, and I understand the feud. But see, you guys are just like crumbs and Ellingbows coming at me, and I'm like, hey, let's just all be good people.
What have you seen lately, and what are you looking forward to, Ty?
So I watched the Polar Express, that CGI monstrosity where Tom Hanks plays not only Santa Claus and the hobo,
like
but
a
plays
ton
the
of
father
characters, yeah.
and plays the boy itself. No, I'm trying to think about it and wrap my head around it. Like, I can't make myself sound like a 10-year-old boy, but Tom Hanks can't. They didn't de-age his voice. He literally can make his voice sound like that kid. I wanted to do that my whole life. I don't know if he's doing like a falsetto thing, but like Tom Hanks can eerily impersonate a 10-year-old child. Is anyone worried about this? I'm worried about this. But anyway, he plays Santa Claus. Maybe I mentioned that, the hobo and the train conductor. There you go. He plays like all the parts. Tom Hanks. Anyway, my daughter was terrified watching Polar Express. Every 5 minutes, she's like, I'm worried. I'm scared. And I was like, I'm with you, girl. This movie's terrifying. It's just the kids in constant peril for like an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm honestly soured toward the movie, unfortunately. Like, I thought the Polar Express was a perfectly fine movie, but now watching it as an adult, I'm like, oh, I'm so bored of this movie. And my daughter's terrified. Like, you can have stakes in a movie, and it doesn't always have to be childhood or child peril, you know, like the kids are like literally in physical peril. Like there could be emotional stakes, like in this movie, there's emotional stakes. As Klaus, or not Klaus, but is Jasper, is he really leaving the, you know,
That
is he gonna
was
leave
like
us behind?
the movie
Emotional
that
stakes
messed me
Yeah.
up when I was younger was Little Nemo. That kid, the
Oh my gosh,
banana
a great
pajama.
example. Yeah. Secret
Kids
of
in
Nim,
peril.
like peril.
Yeah.
Like
It's terrifying
absolute
for kids.
Yes, like it's like, oh my gosh, this character might die, and this is the kind of movie that does it, you know. And like my kid the whole time was like, I think these kids are going to die, and I was like,
Well,
you know,
and that's
yeah,
why I was actually worried
lot
about
of brushes with
Klaus
death.
a little bit about for recommending it to like Cassie's kids, because I'm like, there's a lot of like people just killing people at the beginning, not necessarily like death, but
It's
like
so
they were
endearing.
I know,
It's
but they were
so
like shooting
endearing.
cannons at each other, and they were like those old people
So
like carrying
wonderful.
around dead bodies. I was like, oh, is this
So funny?
It
They're
is funny.
transporting a dead body.
I
They're
know.
transporting a dead body in that.
And then they
It's so
stopping
funny.
traffic so they could transport the dead body. And then you got the little kids with the kid with the carrot, like pushing it slowly into the snowman. I was just like, yeah, straight out of
So
Tim
good.
Burton. And that's why
Yeah.
I was like, is this too dark for kids? I don't know. I mean, we grew up
Heck
with
no,
way
no.
worse films, but
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's not too dark. It's a wonderful film.
I was just wondering if those images stick in your brain like, you know, the spindle
Like-
from Sleeping Beauty.
Like maybe when he's in his shed and Klaus comes in with the axe and he's toppling over himself like he's gonna kill me. Yeah, I mean it's a scary moment, a scary scene, but
okay.
it's great because it's based off a misunderstanding and kids learn, oh, maybe once you get to it's the snow shoveler from Home Alone. It's terrifying.
Maybe if dad comes at me with a
buries
kitchen
the
knife,
bodies.
I'll be okay.
Or he's great. He's like the next day he's like got a spear and he's like hold it up and he's like, oh my gosh, he's back to finish the job. So funny. No, so yeah, my daughter watched it and she was far less terrified of this than she was of Polar Express. So make that of what you will.
Yeah.
Like there's a few things I need to address about Polar Express. This is a side note and you can edit all this out, but there's a scene where not only is he in constant peril, but they're like flat top tunnel or whatever. And he goes, there's only a little bit of distance between the top of this train and flat top tunnel. So when we get there, but the flat top tunnel is literally like an icicle of like a demon face. And it's terrifying. Like that image is terrifying. And I don't even know what they're going for. Like the ice just formed that way, but it makes like these teeth and eyes and it's like ready to eat the kid. It's just so like, I get it. It's something called padding the runtime. The book probably takes 4.5, 5 minutes to read, maybe. And so you're like, how do we make an hour and 20?
It kind of felt
movie?
like a roller coaster. Like I don't think I've even seen it twice. I remember seeing it once and being like, oh, that was fun. But I was like, it's not really a like Klaus. It's like, oh, I want to return and visit this one again.
Yeah. It's not a movie you want to go see again. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure we defended this movie to Emily Albertson.
Oh,
Emily,
yeah.
we love you to death.
Still...
We were like, we thought it was magical, and they were like, no, it's an awful movie. And I've watched it again with my kids, and I now have to agree with Emily. My opinion has soured on the Polar Express.
Interesting.
Great scene though, where the kid's running after the train. He's like, come on, get on the train. And so he starts running, and then he falls on his face in the snow. It's great moment.
I still like the idea of the bell. I guess that was from the book, right? That you can't hear it when you're older.
Bell. You say that at word again?
You can't hear it, right? Because when you get older, it's like if you don't have faith, it's kind of like the "Do you believe in fairies" or whatever. I do.
I do believe in fairies. Yeah. So one of the bells, you ring it, and if you can't hear it, well, the funny part is when he picks it up. I don't know why we're talking so much about Polar Express. He starts ringing it, and he goes, "Doubter, doubter, doubter." It's like it's creepy whisper. They're like saying he's doubting, so he can't hear the beautiful jingle.
Does it really say that? That's creepy.
No, watch the movie. Yes, it literally it says like whispers.
I do need to see it again, I guess.
Yeah, watch it. It doesn't hold up. You'll be kind of mad. You'll be like, I don't like this movie. Other movies. Holy smokes! Let me get up my list here. So I've watched Inglourious last night. My goodness, what a masterpiece! That movie gets better and ages like fine wine.
It does, but it's still
so good.
Like
still.
I think it's not as my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. As I get older, I like his earlier work better. I'm talking about like Jackie Brown. Okay, actually, I just rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I'm like,
good.
Do I love this film? I think it's one of my favorites.
I do like it, and I do want to rewatch it because I only saw it once. But I actually really think Inglourious is probably his best. I'm trying to remember what I think his best.
And I would have
right?
said that in high school. I'm excited for us to rank his movies because I mean they'd probably all be S and A tier, but you know. You can put 4 rooms.
I watched Pulp Fiction again, and I was actually underwhelmed. I was like, there was 2-3 funny good parts in it.
Yeah,
but it's crazy how it's such an old film. You know, it's like late 90s.
Well,
or whatever.
And some of them, I would put lower on the list just because I feel like over time
has to be at the top though. Like that's like top tier. I think
I give it A. It's not S for me because
I'm trying to think. So you like Jackie Brown is like your favorite? You've probably put Death
True
Proof
Romance.
As number one.
True. Yes, Death.
That's Death Proof. Yes. I know you're gonna make me sick with your rating. I'll be like, dude, I don't even get how you watch movies. I don't even understand your thinking. Although I probably should watch Death Proof again now that I've seen it once, just like Klaus. Maybe it gets better. I don't know, but doubt it. Highly doubtful. Anyway, that was amazing watch. And my wife turns to me this evening and she's like, "You want to resume watching Glorious?" I was like, "That was the most romantic thing you've ever said to me." So
was that her first time or second time watching it?
She's watched it with me before, so this is our second time watching it through.
Okay.
My goodness, is it so good, dude?
Yeah,
Christoph Waltz.
My wife loved it too. It's good.
It must have slipped my mind, Fräulein, Mademoiselle.
Dude, why he needs to work? I hope with Quentin's last film. I hope he works with Quentin again.
You know, I was thinking like this sounds cheesy, but I had a dream. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, I was like, his last film is literally like the Quentin Tarantino universe. And it's just all his characters that are much older now, but they're all just as crash and they all bump into each other. Like, I know this sounds stupid, but yeah, you literally have like old Samuel Jackson and old, well, I guess John
Travolta's whoever survived,
dead.
you mean?
Yeah, whoever survived, because in my mind I was like, it'd be fun to bring back old Johnny Travolta. I'm like, oh, but he's like dead in that universe. I guess they wouldn't bring him back. And even if you like de-aged him, anyway. But I literally had the thought where I was like, yeah, bring back all the characters that are living. And then I was like, holy crap, everyone dies in Tarantino's movies. So bring back the essence of the character, like the spirit of that character, right? Or create new characters with your actors that you've used in the past. Bring back, dude, work with,
he's going to be doing his TV shows.
Jamie Foxx.
He's already written a miniseries, so maybe he'll do that.
Has he really? See, I'm actually going to check the heck. When is that out yet?
No, he's looking to see who's going to buy it from him.
Oh, so heck yeah. Better be Netflix because they'll throw all the money at it. They'll be like, we'll buy it up. And then
probably going to be a bidding war for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's true too. Just better not be freaking Peacock or Paramount Plus. I can't handle any more streaming. I like out of the big three, I'm going to call the big three, like, you know, Hulu's not even in my purview. I'm talking like Prime.
He's just going to let, he's going to go with whoever will let him make whatever he wants.
The most Tarantino.
Yeah.
I feel like Netflix, Although they'd have to be like, well, no, because I was gonna say like Tarantino, he has enough people in his movies, but they're really like, can make him more. But like honestly, with Tarantino's films, he's got the part. He's got Samuel Jackson, Jamie Foxx, he's got Jackie Brown. He's done all the things. Which drives me crazy when that girl in that interview asked him, like, hey, Margot Robbie has less lines than Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt.
I reject your hypothesis.
I reject your hypothesis, okay? I fundamentally reject your hypothesis, okay?
That was a good impression.
And I'm like, but to be fair to him, like, I was like, yeah, lady, have you looked at his work? Like, he made Jackie Brown before it was cool. Like, it was a passion project for him, obviously.
We could talk about
and
Quentin for an hour.
We literally could. I think he's such an interesting guy. And the funniest thing, I just watched a video about him talking about his best character he ever wrote was Christophus Waltz, the Jew hunter, right?
And it took him like, 5 years to find him or something?
Yeah. It's really cool because he's like, we might just not get to making it because he couldn't find the actor. But then when Christoph Waltz, he came in for a line reading, he goes, oh, we're shooting a movie. And then he does his laugh. He's like, it's so funny. But I was watching this interview with him and he's like, we found the guy. It's like so
that was good.
Crazy. But yeah, Tarantino himself, dude. I just realized like how much he puts himself into the characters of movies, like all the weird manic, like he used Steve Buscemi as a vehicle, right? Like all his quippy stuff. Oh, I don't tip, you know. Oh, it's you don't tip. What's wrong with you? All that stuff. Like that's all Tarantino isms. But anyway, so yeah, I watched that last night. That was amazing. I just needed a break from all the Christmas stuff, like Polar Express. I just like, how was something that's not Christmas? And then I watched it and I was like, holy cow, I feel very energized. But Michael Fassbender, so good. Brad Pitt, you have freaking Mike Myers in it. And wait, is it Michael Myers or Mike Myers?
Mike Myers. Michael is the guy with the hockey mask.
Yeah,
hockey, but
I always get those confused. Like, gosh, they could.
White mask.
But isn't it? It's a William Shatner mask.
William
right?
Shatner. Sorry.
Well, no, yeah, but yeah, it's a William Shatner mask. But his name, the killer, is Michael Myers. It's so hard to keep straight.
Well, that was the whole mistake in Baby Driver when they buy the wrong mask.
Yeah, that's right.
You said Mike Myers. This is Mike Myers or Michael. Maybe they're both Michael Myers. I don't know.
No, because yeah, he goes by Mike Myers. I know that because I've seen the Shrek poster. It's like ingrained in my head. John Lithgow, Cameron Diaz.
Oh, you're right. It does go by Mike
Myers.
But made that short for
and
Michael.
I just want to say on the podcast again, I feel very vindicated because we don't see Mike Myers in anything. So we all agree that he's not funny. Sorry, Cole. I know you might be listening to this.
No,
I'm just.
So I Married an Axe Murderer is amazing. Get out of here.
I have started that movie twice, haven't finished it. Sorry. I'm one of those people that watch Mike Myers and I'm like, no, I don't like him. I'm sorry. He reminds me of Adam Sandler. I actually don't think I like Adam Sandler, but I like the characters in his movies and some of the situational comedy. But it has very little to do with Adam
except
Sandler.
You like his
Waterboy is insufferable for me. It feels bad to say that. And then I turned off Billy Madison the first 2 times I watched it too because I was like, he's insufferable. Yeah. I love after the whole plot gets.
But when he's doing dramatic performances,
yeah. To be fair to yes. Punch Drunk Love is good and Uncut Gems is great. So like again, but I'm like, I don't find him funny. Like now that I say that, like Happy Gilmore was the last movie I found him funny in. 50 First Dates.
But then again, his new movies are not for you. They're for a younger audience. Like,
are they though? Like
Cameron loves Ridiculous like 6.
Oh god. He doesn't love. He probably laughs at it, right? He doesn't.
I don't know. He really liked it. Funny. He watched it again with Dad. They both liked it.
Stop. I would never watch like a raunchy comedy with my father. Is it raunchy? Maybe it's not, but
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Just like a slapstick.
I could care
Sandler
less.
movie. I would not watch a movie like that.
His new movies are not for me either. So
since Jingle All the Way, there's been watching Red Letter Media, watched the Polar Express, watched Klaus.
I like how you say it like they're like a movie.
Red Letter Media is like their videos are like hours long, dude. Hilarious.
That's true.
Stuff.
They really are.
Watch Coherence. That might just be my favorite indie micro budget film of all time.
You should so bump out that Pride and Prejudice because it doesn't count as a movie.
Need to put Coherence in there because I think I love it. Every time I watch it, I like it more and more.
And then put Pride and Prejudice on your top TV shows instead.
I just love Coherence. I just wish I could have been there on the podcast because it's such a mind melt.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my brothers-in-law and I was like, dude, just think of the possibilities, man.
Yeah.
Would you go out there into that roulette wheel and just go into an alternate universe if you had the opportunity?
Thanks to YouTube for, we got Elvis Lillian recommending it, dude.
Is that where it came from, dude?
Yep.
It's crazy. It's good. Yeah. See, we gotta just mooch off of other YouTubers and see what they're reviewing.
Oh, I'm a total leech. That's all I do is I like everything people I semi agree with, at least understand them. I don't have to agree with them as long as I understand them. And then and where they're coming from,
find even like maybe they can help me appreciate something or we can group hate on something. Less so the hate. Only if it's done in a comedic way where I can get enjoyment out of it, because I'm like, it does two things. One, we can laugh about catching me up on a movie that I'm never going to go see, because I actually get fulfillment out of that. Because to me, I'm like, oh, you went and saw a movie? Like, I would be thrilled to just hear your opinion about Barbie, because I'm like, I honestly hope I can go the rest of my life avoiding it.
It's not as bad as people make it out
I know it isn't, but like, it's just not a movie for me. Yeah. Like, other than like, I want to see the scenes with Ryan Gosling. Sure, I've heard that that's great, but part of me is just like, it's just not something I'd rather go see. I went and saw Oppenheimer. I didn't want to go see Barbie or work at the Home Depot. Okay, anyway.
Let me cruise through my list. Have you finished yours?
No, I'm not done.
Sorry, you do all these side tangents. I never know if you're done with your list.
Well, technically I am done, but I sent my family to go see Disney Wish. Somehow I got out of there, but I sent my wife and my kids to go see Disney Wish. What'd she say?
Good?
They said they liked it. They said that it was good. Chris Pine was a good villain, and what's her face is Princess, and she sang a song and I heard it and I was like, that's not the most annoying song. It's like good, I rather liked it. But it just falls in the pitfall of two things. One, from what I've heard about it, I'm like, pretty predictable as all get out. And they're like, yeah, this movie might have been written by AI because it's all the things that we've done in the past. But the one thing I think that would help is like a good classic villain that they always try to do. They do these twist villains. I'm kind of done with now, just because, like, for example, Hades, great villain. Scar, Gaston, like really funny, great, iconic villains. Like, who's the villain in Frozen 2? Can you remember? Encanto. Generational trauma, folks. It's how the wrongs of your grandparents, and it's just stop. I'm done with this storyline and this story beat. It's tired. It's old. Bring us back mustache twirling villains that are having a great time. Maniacal laughter. So the last movie I watched was The Muppets because I wanted to get back to a funny villain. Is it Alice Cooper? Is that his name? I always forget his name. Is it Brett Cooper? I think it's Brett Cooper.
I don't know.
I always forget his name. It's amazing. Jason Segel, Amy Adams. The Muppets is like one of my favorite movies. I love it so much. And my kids love it. And we listen to the soundtrack all the time. He has this hilarious thing where he's like saying the words maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. It's amazing.
You're bad, G.
You're bad, G. Dude, the second one was funny too.
That was the second one. That's right.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the Muppets, but it was Chris Cooper. See, I was wrong. Chris Cooper. Love him though. He's in your precious adaptation movie. The Gator guy gets eaten by a gator.
Yeah.
I remember that movie.
Oh, you're talking about the villain. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Texas. Okay, and so one of the Flight of the Conchords guys wrote the soundtrack for the movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so like all those songs that are so funny, it's because of Flight of the Conchords. Not Jermaine, Brett, the other one. Brit.
What?
Anyway, so and then obviously in the sequel, he got Jermaine in the sequel. He's in the prison. He's in the gulag. Jermaine. Britt and Jermaine.
I like that name.
Oh, that was the last movie I forgot to mention. I started the Asteroid City. That was the last movie. I forgot about it. I was like, I'm surprised that they can get away with such flagrant in a PG-13 movie. I didn't even bother to look at the IMDb, and I'm like, that's PG-13. I'm like, wow, PG-13s have matured a little bit since I've been away. But anyway,
interesting. I don't even remember that. I just remember thinking it was boring.
Oh yeah, it's a movie that nothing happens except the camera does move in interesting ways, which I kept watching for that.
Yeah,
gimmick,
that was
but
good.
I was like, there's no story. And again, I'm fine even having a story with no story. But
somebody said like because everybody does the exact same tone of voice, they all start to mesh together.
Yeah, I literally feel like I'm inside Wes Anderson's mind, and he's like, this is a perfect person of OCD that can mimic like my inner thoughts and feelings. And then like, here's this character that talks like me and voices my inner thoughts and feelings. And I'm like, you know what? I honestly think you're better off taking material and adapting it, because like Fantastic Mr. Fox is probably his best work. Bottle Rocket, best work. And again, because he wasn't so obsessive about the OCD thing. And I'm like, I'm just tired of this. Like, to me, it just feels like a gimmick. I would love to see Wes Anderson direct anything else, like something that's not like this. Like make a Wrath of Man. You know, don't make a Guy Ritchie film. Do a little more serious. Not as many quick cuts. Do like something outside your comfort zone. Like I literally, even from the cast, it was like Jason Schwartzman, Jeff Goldblum, Tom Hanks. I'm like,
and the only reason
all the regulars, like I know you got every single fetching actor.
Bill Murray, the only reason he wasn't in it and Tom Hanks took his spot is because he had COVID.
Perfect. So he's like, I would have actually but then it's forgettable because you're like, Tom Hanks is playing Bill Murray's character. They're the same thing.
They're the exact same thing. Like they were interchangeable, basically.
Yeah. The movie was just pretty forgettable.
Really quick, I just want to say I watched a triple feature of William Dafoe. I did The Reckoning, Light Sleeper, Triumph of Spirit.
Are any of those the one with the meme where he's looking over? William Dafoe is like looking up that Grant uses in his videos.
No, I don't think so.
I love that meme, dude.
Yeah, that's a funny
it's like
meme.
That meme is amazing.
I'm curious as to what movie that's from.
Oh my gosh, I know, right?
It looks like from a Terrence Malick film or something.
I know. Oh, it looked like The Revenant. I don't know what it is, or maybe like the one where he plays Van Gogh. I don't know.
And then I watched The In-Laws. It's in the Criterion Collection. I don't know if I love it. It's supposedly, I mean, it has its moments. I don't know. It's just a different era of like comedy.
Oh, dude, yeah, old comedies don't hold up, dude.
Late 70s. Yeah, it's just
there are some timeless ones, but yeah, like Dumb and Dumber somehow is timeless.
Some things I wanted to mention though, really quick, as so the same director.
Good Burger.
Good Burger. Speaking of timeless, they're making a sequel, Cameron.
Well, not making it. It's already out. I've watched it.
Oh wait, that's right.
Not so timeless.
Last week. Yeah.
It's like so. Who wanted the sequel?
So Polka King's in my top 100. I love Polka King. I've watched it so many times.
I need to watch that one again.
I usually do a double feature with Bernie, but I looked up this director.
Bernie's a little better.
No, you're crazy.
I like them both.
Like I said, it's a perfect double feature. They're like both amazing. So I looked up this girl's work, this director, and my wife and I saw The Good House. So good. Holy crap. I absolutely love it. It's about a recovering alcoholic. It's a really great film.
Isn't it Nick Cage and he throws a craps table over?
No, I don't know what that is. And then
I think that's Leaving Las Vegas. I'm just making fun of Nick Cage.
Then I rewatched Chainsaw Man because I love that show. And then I watched Fallen Angels because
such an insane show.
Yeah,
I don't know any of these things that you're.
So Fallen Angels is also in the Criterion Collection, and I think it might have been Drew that told me to put it on my radar, or maybe I saw the poster somewhere.
It was Drew. Yeah, Drew's obsessed with the visuals, like from trailers he's seen.
Yeah, and that's literally what I wrote in my review. The visuals are unreal, and especially for how old it is, I'm like, how on earth did he make it look this good? But wow, it's stunning, and there's an amazing relationship between the father and the son. Wow, amazing. And then the action looks like the action from it's not a good movie, but I love it. It's the Mark Wahlberg movie, the video game Max Payne. It looks like those visuals where when people are shooting, there's stuff flying everywhere.
That movie is
don't even mention that movie like I'm making that top 10 trailers, Jordan. And yeah, I literally thought of that trailer you made with Terminator 4, good. Max Payne visuals. Yeah,
the Max Payne visuals are amazing, and I feel like they took it straight from Fallen Angels because the visuals are, and his film camera work looks just like Gaspar Noé's, which I don't know if you've seen any of his films, but he did the what's the one where he's like, I don't want to spoil it, but he does drugs and stuff, and like it's all from POV shot. Anyway, because in this movie they have people like look directly at the camera. It almost feels like a documentary, sort of, because the guy is clearly walking around filming. But it looks unbelievably good. Cameron, what have you seen lately, and what are you looking forward to?
So good.
I've been watching. We just got to season 3 of Avatar with Colton, and he's absolutely loving it. Season 3 is immaculate. And I watched Into the Wild.
Oh, what'd you think? Cameron's like, that should have been my life, dude.
well, there was, see, I said in my Letterboxd review, I said I don't like camping, so this would sort of be my worst nightmare, but being alone is sometimes kind of nice. And I said, like, I think, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like interesting concept, and like I can't believe that it's based on a true story, which it made me hate the ending less. Because at first I was like, that's the dumbest ending I've ever seen. And I was like, oh my
Why would
gosh,
you end
it
your
was
movie like
real.
that? Oh, what
Yeah,
if
I
he
was like,
died?
oh, it was a real person. Holy crap. Because yeah, I was just like, that's the most depressing. Because I thought I was gonna learn something from it all and like come back and like,
Whoa, slow down, Cameron. He definitely did learn something from it all.
oh, he did, but
Paid the ultimate price, but yeah, he learned.
yeah. And I don't know. It was a little too slow for me because I thought the message was gonna be really cool because it was kind of like I loved him experiencing like different parts of life through other people's like eyes and stuff like that, because I feel like he got to live like 5 or 6 different lives in his short like 20-year life, which, or like 25-year life, which I thought was really cool, because like him just living with the like also random cameo from what's his name from Brawl and Cell Block 99,
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah, craziest cameo ever. I was like, is that Vince Vaughn? I was like, what the fudge? But like, I just thought it was really cool how he's experiencing those things. Just not super my speed, and I feel like it was a little too slow for me. It's
Not your
kind of fun.
tempo?
Yeah, it was like not quite my tempo.
Not quite my
It
tempo.
was definitely dragging. It was, for me, it's 5 out of 10. But I mean, I totally understand.
Must
Like,
have been all those hippies and granola crunchy people. Like Karen's like, ugh.
I just also
I
couldn't
was so bored.
imagine.
Yeah.
I'm also just not super outdoorsy, so that's a large part of the reason why I didn't love it. As I'm just like, why would anyone live like this? I'm like, I
Karen's like,
understand being
oh,
alone, but I'm like, you could also just live alone in like a little home, like out in the cabin in the woods. I'm like, you don't have to necessarily like be like cutting up moose and trying to cook it. I don't know. I was like,
well, yeah. How well did that turn out for him, right?
yeah, exactly. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Um, and then I watched Pan's Labyrinth with Jordan, and I was surprised. I hated it a lot less than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be disgusting and horrifying.
Jordan didn't see me, but
I saw it.
no,
Which
no comment. Okay, I'm doing my
which
best here.
very, like, I was glad how grounded in reality it was, and that's what kind of like got me through it, which I was really grateful for. Extremely depressing. Holy well, it depends on your interpretation, but I think it's depressing because to me she like goes a little bit crazy, but she believed. For me it was another 5 out of 10. And then I watched
Another, if you just believe that could be a Christmas movie.
that is not a Christmas movie.
So is Labyrinth, you know, yeah.
Jordan was telling me that one of his coworkers at work said they're going to show their child this movie, and that they need to have child services called on them. So
No, she didn't. She shows her. She watched it with her kid.
yeah, this movie was horrifying to watch as a 23-year-old adult male. So I do not recommend showing your children to that. But a great villain, a really good villain. He's super fun to hate. And then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That movie is an hour and a half too long. I was like,
Yeah, it is. I love the ending where they keep zooming in on the eyes. They're just like getting
yeah.
closer.
See,
It's the
I think
profile,
like it's
chest,
like crazy,
shoulders, face.
crazy
eyes.
iconic. I mean, and I'm sure
Right.
like revolutionized, and like the score is insane, and I know inspired like so many people making fun of it, or even just like other westerns, and I know it's probably one of the most influential westerns of all time.
Yeah.
But like, at what cost? I'm like, I call it in my review, I said the good, the bad, and the boring. And I was like, just kidding, but not really. Because I just felt like
Brilliant.
but there's so
Genius.
many times where I'm like, because I like my favorite movie of all time is Zodiac. It's just like Jordan's gonna argue, but it is slower burn.
It's fast.
And then but like this was just, I don't know, there was like so much setup and so much character development that I was like, okay, I don't really need this much. um and then I watched The Way Back. It was recommended from one of my buddies. It's got Sam Rockwell, Steve Carell. It's essentially just about this kid who he sits in the way back of the car. His mom has a new boyfriend who's Steve Carell, who's a total douchebag. And then they're going to like her boyfriend's beach house, and then he's kind of just
Sam
he starts,
Rockwell is so funny.
and then he starts working at water park where Sam Rockwell
Oh
worked.
yeah, I did see that. That looks
Super.
good. Like a coming of age
It's
movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I think
I
it
wanna
does a
see
really
it.
good job of kind of navigating the complexities of like relationships on children through a divorce. And I think just shows kind of like the hard part of like the parent trying to navigating her own happiness, but also her child's happiness.
Cameron, your
Like,
parents just need to get divorced. It did wonders for me.
yeah. Maybe your
Did
parents.
wonders for my dad.
Um,
He was
Yeah.
way
good
not
point.
cool before when he was married.
yeah, yeah, because Ned turned out great.
Yeah.
No, but like,
Nestled safely under a tree.
um, uh. Oh yeah, I just thought I did a really good job of that and just showing because it's so hard for a parent like going through a divorce to try to navigate their own happiness as well as their children's happiness, and then like it's just so complex. But really fun. Yeah, Sam Rockwell, he's my favorite flawed like anti-hero. He's just like in every movie he plays, he's so flawed, but which makes him so relatable and human. And that's what makes him so fun when he's like, because he teaches people messages and like lessons in such unique ways
Yeah,
that
Three Billboards and Jojo Rabbit. He was so good.
yeah, like I
The
just
best
think
part of
Yeah,
those
that's
movies.
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
like
it's
he just
interesting you say that. He really is.
because he just like and it's so amazing that he steals like the show with like so oftentimes so little screen time or so little dialogue.
Mhm.
It's just like he just shows you how flawed he is, but then like can teach you so much because he's so like
Mr. Vulnerable,
genuine.
right? Yeah, holy
Yeah.
crap.
Do you
I
know
think
he reached out to S. Craig Zoller. He said, "I'd love to be in one of your movies." I'm like, "Yes, please."
Oh yeah, that's a
oh
He
team
would
heck
up.
be
Yeah.
yeah.
perfect
Like
in that universe.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
and I
Great,
mean
interesting character.
he's even great in Seven Psychopaths. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
like just I've been just like more and more he just keeps rising the ranks of like
Yeah.
my favorite actors.
That's William Dafoe for me lately, man. I'm just like, I
Yeah, you've been
love
on
you.
a Defoe binge, bro.
Defoe, dude.
I
No,
love
um,
William.
great actor.
he is amazing.
He is
And
like
And
the
then
best part of American Psycho. I mean, like, gosh dang, don't get me wrong, Christian Bale is amazing.
whoa,
that's a
yo, yeah,
bold statement.
slow
That's a
your yeah,
bold
yeah.
statement.
Slow
The
down, dude.
best part of
I
American Psycho.
literally okay, let me slow down. I literally just
Or maybe
at
Boondock
random
Saints. Sorry, I
times
meant Boondock Saints. Sorry.
I think
Okay.
okay, I was about to say I was like,
Yeah.
I actually thought I was like, are you
I
referring to
meant
where he
to
dressed up
say,
as a
yeah.
woman?
He's
Yeah,
a
because I was like,
firefight.
yeah. And then when he dresses up as a woman and storms in, I had a sneaking
I took it too
suspicion
far.
that you were
This is too
referring.
far.
I took it too far. Which is funny because I'm pretty sure that's where South Park got that joke about the cops doing the
Oh, he
drug
did.
raids.
That's
I
right.
guarantee they took it where he
Oh,
went in and he like started to and he's like, I took it too far, got too close or whatever. Hilarious, but like that was the
That was
joke.
one of my favorite South Park episodes.
An amazing thing. But yeah, I would say I literally at random times just watch Christian Bale confessing to his lawyer in that voicemail.
Okay,
That
yeah.
phone call.
I
That is the
I spoke too
craziest
soon.
thing. Yeah. Christian Bale goes, I'm amazed that like
a top 10
Christopher Nolan
performance
didn't think
in one of
he
my
should have been Joker like immediately. Like that was his Joker performance right there. And you're like,
that
Christian
is
Bale is a
crazy.
wild actor. Like, and so anyway,
No,
the
Heath
wild card
Ledger's
thing
like,
he
I got to go up against this.
Yeah.
yeah, right. Like I've seen
That's
trailer cuts where they actually made it to where Christian Bale is Batman and they play the bat how do I say this?
Because didn't Heath Ledger want to be Batman?
I know. So it's funny you said Cillian Murphy, who
Murphy,
played
yeah.
Scarecrow, actually
Oh, Cillian Murphy. Thank
did
you.
for Christian Bale, but Christian Bale, like, I
Beat
don't
him
know,
out.
whatever reason, yeah, beat him out. And so, but now it's cool because then years later he gets to do Oppenheimer, and I
Well,
hope he
and I
gets.
mean, he was
more.
Scarecrow.
Cillian Murphy's
So
awesome. Yeah. So and then he was in all three films because he liked working with him, and then eventually Oppenheimer comes around. He's like, "Yes, I want you to play Jay Oppenheimer," and you're like, "Oh, just
Yeah.
And
kidding."
they worked so many times together after that.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, and in Inception, he was
Inception.
the
Inception, Dunkirk.
and Dunkirk, yes, like almost every Nolan
Every
film
film
he's
after that,
worked with. It's like I could
Who's
get you
he in
back,
Dunkirk?
dude. He's the PTSD soldier.
Yeah, remember? And he like throws
that
the
tragically
kid.
throws the kid in the boat.
Oh,
Turn the
snap.
ship around. That's
totally
Cillian Murphy,
forgot
dude.
he's
I
in
know.
that
See, you
movie.
forget, dude. He just
He's so
disappears. man.
good.
Yeah, he's great.
Just like last final thing about American Psycho, the crazy thing for me is like I would argue a top 10 performance all time in a movie that like I would say maybe it's a 5 or 6 out of 10. Like I hate the movie. Well, I don't hate the movie. I just think
It-
there's like
It
Which
just
movie?
made It made my top
American
100,
Psycho.
Cameron.
Oh,
it's so good.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
There's just
perfect.
so much like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll never
Yeah.
rewatch that movie again, but I just like looking up the scenes.
But
Like I said,
that's what I think makes his performance that much even better. It's like it's a movie.
or even
I don't know
guys,
if I
like
ever want
there's
to watch it again, but
there's
he's just so good in it.
there is a Patrick Bateman renaissance going on YouTube right now. Like all I get are like videos of like memes of Patrick Bateman of like he's like looking, oh my gosh, the off-white color. He's like talking about his business card. Like it's so funny.
Cameron, if you skip over those crazy scenes, I watched it with my wife. She loved it. She's like, this is so good.
It's a crazy movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
get
it's
it VidAngeled or edited if you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie's
You can skip over those psycho scenes.
That was one of the few movies that I watched and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't watch our movies anymore.
Yeah.
I was like,
I felt the same way after I watched the Cameron. I felt so gross when he's running around with a chainsaw and he's like, I felt sick to my stomach.
Or
I'm
even like, because like there's scenes where
throws it down the stairwell.
There's like scenes where he's like watching, just like he's not even like, he's just like just watching it. I'm like, what?
Or
the fuck
that
is
screaming girl in the background. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm like, this dude is actually demented. Like, and I'm like, even, and that's the thing too. I'm like trying to skip over scenes, and I'm like an hour. I'm like skipping for like 20 minutes, and it's still him just.
Well, you can't do the 10-second skip.
And then all
you
of a sudden there's
jump.
an axe being thrown, and I killed Paul Allen in the face with an axe. You stupid.
It's not possible.
That's not possible. Why not? Dude, we need to do that movie. Oh my gosh. It is seriously perfect.
And then because I've been on the binge and I only have 4 movies left on my 100 poster over here.
That is something to be admired, dude.
Yeah. I took a little break. That's why I watched the way back. And then I also watched Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. It was a
palate cleanser.
Yeah, both those movies.
Teen Titans. You still watching that show? That's hilarious, dude.
It was just two 7 out of 10s that were just like, okay, now I can go back to watching boring masterpieces. Like it was just really nice to watch. Like
but of all those 100, Cameron, you cranked out a couple onto your top 100. It's just like,
yeah, true. Like,
yeah, real quick on that list that you hadn't seen because of the list. I'm actually curious. What were a few of those like
that made your top 100?
City of God.
Yeah,
which you need to see. I agree. The beginning is boring. But once it gets going, it's like boom, skyrocket.
So City of God, for me, and then American History X might. That's right on the border. That was crazy, bro. That was one of the most insane movies I've ever seen.
Good movie.
Yeah, another movie which kind
Edward Norton was a little too believable. If you get my drift.
It was a little too natural for him.
He's like, oh, this is
probably a bad comparison, but it kind of reminded me of Klaus, just like a misunderstanding of people until you get to know them better.
We're gonna do a double feature tonight, kids. We're gonna watch Klaus, the origin story of Santa Claus, and then just another little history movie, the origin of racism in America.
Because I do get where you're coming from. I thought that was the beautiful message from American History X, because I even wrote it in my Letterboxd review. I said to hate someone is to not know them or to not understand them.
Yeah, but am I understanding this correct? That in order to get over your prejudices, you need to be prison. I'm sorry.
That's the fast track.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're like,
or you can just say,
and then have your life spared by
or you can watch this movie and feel just
or like what's his name said, Shane Gillis, he talks about in one of his comedy bits, he goes, I know I'm the type of white that says, let's watch the whole body cam footage before jumping to any conclusion.
Dude, Beautiful Dogs, George, did you watch that?
Yeah.
Dude,
I did.
Okay, yeah. His impression of Trump is so spot on.
Yeah.
He cried like a baby. Oh, it's so funny, dude. His impression of Trump is so great. But yeah.
Your last film, Cameron?
Yeah, and then I watched I wanted to see Godzilla, do a double feature and watch Godzilla.
I want to see that
Boy
too.
and the Heron. But
and the Heron, that's that new
Godzilla was freaking sold out. Well, there was 2 seats
sold out?
It was on Tuesday, so which makes sense.
Still,
and so the front 2
I didn't know movies got sold out. Yeah, to hear.
I've heard this new Godzilla is amazing. It's crazy.
Well, it did hit through like all the YouTube video, that I watched.
And The Boy and the Heron
was the top movie at
the top movie at the box office. I was just like,
I'm not surprised. The anime
And what's it
folks,
called?
they're gonna go support the heck out of that. They
Well,
go
I
like,
supported it. Cameron
what's so
supported it.
weird is like I don't even hear about these movies, and then they're like, "Oh, Demon Slayer, it's like 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, 100% audience," and then you look at this movie, 100%, 100%. You're like, is there anyone that just watches one of these movies like, yeah, I didn't get it or I didn't like it? They're like, no, just love everything unabashedly. They just love
this
it
guy is
because-
just like Martin Scorsese. He's over 80 years old, and he just made another animated
wild,
Studio
though.
Ghibli movie. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
well, so-
and to be fair, I remember I did eventually see an ad for it or the trailer. I don't know if it was a teaser or something, but I saw it and I was like, it is so impressive looking. Like that type of animation is really beautiful. But to me, sometimes I'm always hesitant because I'm like,
I'm excited to hear your thoughts, Cameron, because I forgot to talk about it last podcast. Just so good.
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. So and Brighton, who's been on the pod for like Soul,
Oh, we know Brain.
and a couple others. She watched Godzilla last night because I invited her to go to The Boy and the Heron. She's like, I'm actually going to see Godzilla. She gave it 5 stars, and like I was like, wow. And she
Godzilla.
gave The Holdovers 5 stars, which both you need to see as well.
I wanted to see that.
I want to
I
see
told
it.
Jordan. Jordan's like, yeah, it looks like another Breakfast Club, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
Oh,
do
I
not
didn't
like
say
Breakfast
that.
Club. I got bet.
I
You
don't know
said
why I said I wanted to see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't remember who wasn't excited to see
Well,
it. It was one of you two. Yeah.
I'm not going to see it in theaters. I'm going to wait till it comes out, and I'm going to just buy it.
Maybe Jordan was just trying to bash it down so he doesn't, get tempted.
I know.
go
I
see a
like to
movie in
keep my
theaters.
expectations low, and then when I watch it, I'm like, this is really good.
I love it.
You guys
But
keep
no,
building it up so much.
so then because
To me, it's that lazy eye that Paul Giamatti. That acting.
So
It's
I
good.
went to see. That's what's really funny in the way back. One of the kids has a lazy eye.
Oh, and the
and
mom
she's like-
constantly talks about it.
Yeah, and she's like, we tried to read and correct it, but now it's just she's like looking in both directions. She goes to stare at the bridge of his nose.
Yeah,
The
she's
mom
funny.
is a terrible mother, but I mean, she's also going through a divorce, but so I saw The Boy and the Heron, which I was also surprised, being a Studio Ghibli film, there was like 4 seats left, and so I got like kind of not the best seat. I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it
and
was
then
packed in my theater too.
yeah, and so I mean, unfortunately, it was dubbed, which is funny because I wanted to see it subtitled, and Jordan wanted to see
I
it
wanted to
dubbed.
see it dubbed, and I saw it
Jordan watched it
subtitled.
subtitled, and I watched it dubbed.
Wait, why did you want to see it?
It's
Dub,
tight.
though?
Robert Pattinson, Christian Bale, like all these amazing actors did the voices. And I was like,
Oh.
and I actually, it's so weird with cartoons. I fall asleep to subtitled. I don't know why. Like I was seriously struggling to stay awake. Like if it's live action, I have to watch it in subtitles.
It's funny because it's, for me, watching it dubbed seems like wrong because it's like it's almost jarring because I just know, like, especially the way they look, I'm like, an Asian person isn't like an Asian person doesn't sound like Christian Bale, like, you know.
Oh,
Like,
Cameron, he played the prince in the no, not Mononoke. What's the other one? Spirited Away. He's the dragon prince in the English dub version. I should clarify.
Come on,
that.
Cameron.
I know, that's what I'm
Breakfast at
Christian Bale
Tiffany's.
did it, yeah.
You never saw a white guy.
Mickey Rooney.
and so it's funny because it normally takes me out, but luckily it was a great like cast for the dubbed. And
That
Jordan
movie
told me-
sucks, by the way. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Jordan was telling me that there
Hate
was
that movie.
Robert Pattinson. The entire movie I went through looking for it, couldn't hear it once, and then afterwards he was Jordan told me who he was. He was
Heron,
the
yeah.
Heron. Dude does not sound like
Sound like
Robert
him.
Pattinson at all. That was what was crazy to me. Like the entire movie, I'm like, I wonder when Robert Pattinson is going to show up. Like every time a new character would show up, I'm like, oh, maybe it's Robert Pattinson. And he was there like the entire film. I just had no idea.
No, that does bother me, Cameron. Like when I watch a movie, like even like Klaus, I was like, who's this actor playing this voice? Like I recognize Norm Macdonald immediately.
Yeah.
But like Jason Schwartzman, I always forget. I'm like, I know the voice. Who is it? Like I was like, it's not David Spade, but I just think Cusco, and I'm like, can't get him out of my head. And then I know Joanne Cusack. I would never forget that voice.
I
and
hear
then,
her in a second.
and then Rashida Jones, I forgot her. I was like, I know. I always think it's the actress
Rashida
that
Jones,
plays
I can
being John
notice
Malkovich.
like that. I'm like,
I
oh,
should be able to, but for some reason, I always confuse her with being John Malkovich lady. She was in 40-Year-Old Virgin, opposite of Steve Carell. I can't remember her name, but that actress. I always think it's her, but it's never her. It's
Cameron,
Rashida.
we need to convince Ty to watch Studio Ghibli movies.
But
They're
yeah,
so good.
to be fair, I've seen Spirited Away.
I know
in
you
Spanish
shouldn't
class.
start on Spirited Away. It's too crazy.
It's
you
too
do
great.
start
And then
something
Princess
more.
Mononoke Princess Mononoke. I thought that
Spirited
one was
Away.
good.
Spirited Away.
like-
It's a masterpiece, but
It's-
it's a masterpiece.
Spirited Away is.
It's in my top
hundred.
100, almost at the top.
See, Ty, listen.
Comforted to hear that,
to
Cameron.
me, and yet Grave of Fireflies, Ty, made my top 100. Like,
Rave
and then
of Fireflies.
and then which is Studio Ghibli, and then also Princess Mononoke,
Okay.
like you said, is excellent as well.
I liked
You like-
Mononoke. I thought it was good.
And so I didn't like Spirited Away, and also like My Neighbor Totoro was fun, but like even those, I'm like,
Totoro.
I don't think they're amazing. But then Grave of Fireflies, dude, blew me away.
Check
Like,
it
I
out.
was-
Okay. No, I like. I'm not
That's
above.
not
I'm
a Studio
gonna-
Ghibli movie, I don't think.
Oh, really? But
Yeah.
super similar animation style.
Okay. Yeah, anime or whatever.
And then, but yeah, The Boy and the Heron.
Dude, I'm not above it. I love Death Note. Sorry, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, it's one of my favorite thriller, cat and mouse. Dude, did I even add that in my top 10 TV show? I can't, because the second half is no good. I've started it 2 or 3 times, still haven't finished it, so I guess it wouldn't make that list. But that Death Note was amazing. So anyway.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been trying to chase that high forever, and I
know, right? Yeah.
No, but
I'm
so
not gonna-
so I was so I did go see it, The Boy and the Heron dubbed, and wow, I was blown away. It's literally like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Tenet, and Soul had a child. It's like mind-boggling but beautiful, and like super amazing message at the end. And it's what it makes more sense than Tenet, but it is kind of like that complicated, like talking to like, I don't want to spoil too much, but like talking to somebody who in the future or in the present, but talking to their past self and a few. I don't know. It was
it's really cool too. Like it's a total reflection on the guy, because it's his last film. He's like, who's going to take over this mantle? And it's kind of like maybe nobody will. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh snap! That makes it even that much better.
I know, right? Because it's like he's just given so much to the world.
And there's so much show don't tell. It's insane. It's some of the best storytelling. Like, people just need to watch more movies like this to understand. You can say so much in like 30 seconds of saying, like, you can know everything about, or not everything, but like a large part of his history, his family, like situation, with just a couple subtle comments. Like, oh, let's go visit mom. It's like, you don't need to say my mom, have a dialogue of like, my mom's been sick for the past 6 years. Like, you don't need to say all of that. Like, all you need to do is say, oh, like, let's try to visit mom later tonight. Like, things like that. Cause then you just like treat us like intelligent viewers, essentially what I'm trying to say. But I was surprised at how much emotion there was in the movie. Like, it was like really beautiful, and like and sad at like many moments. Also, at first it was a little unsettling because I felt like there was kind of conflicting tones, but I felt like because there's like a lot of like tension and kind of because it's borderline a psychological thriller. But then there's like bits of comedy, but I don't know if it's like actual comedy, because it's like, for example, like a killer parakeet holding a sword who's about to like chop up a kid, and it's like but at the same time he's trying to kill a child. Like, it's moments like that where I'm like, I don't know if I'm just laughing because of the absurdity, or if like I'm actually supposed to be laughing. I don't know. So at first it was a little unsettling because like I didn't really know, because like the crowd was laughing a lot at some of like the intense moments. I think either to kind of like ease themselves, or like just because of like the physical comedy. But yeah, overall I was really, really impressed. And like, I mean, like Ty mentioned, like the style and like the cinematography is insane. And I just loved the message at the end, which I felt like was like the complexities and hardships of our world is what makes like the good moments worthwhile and that much richer. And that like can't have joy and love without like loss and heartbreak. Because that's what I love, is there's like a final question where like the creator of this world asks him, he said, you can either stay here and be essentially like the ruler of this perfect world and make it a perfect world, or you can head back to your world and then he's like, I choose like my world. And he's
Spoilers.
like, you choose it over, like, he's like, even with all the heart, like the death, the chaos, like he's going back to a World War II, I believe, like war-stricken Japan, and he chooses that because of like his family and the people in it, over like a world of like perfect peace.
That's also something about the director, is he lost his mom and his dad raised him in the war. So
dang, yeah, so super crazy. And I also, I don't know if I just missed that detail, but George, I did not piece together that his new mom, like his stepmom, was his previous aunt.
Yeah, that took
Like,
me a second too. My wife
like,
knew
it was
that
like,
right away, and I'm
yeah,
like,
when she said your bloodline, I was like, but he's not related. And then it was later, it's like, oh, you're like a spitting image of the mother. And I
yeah,
was like, maybe
yeah,
he just has a type.
yeah.
But
That's what I thought too. I'm like, he has a type, but then my wife's like,
yeah,
oh
and
no,
then later
that's
I'm like,
the
oh, it's like the dad married his dead
his
wife's sister,
sister. Yeah,
which I'm like, maybe that's cultural, kind of normal, or like I don't know, but like, because for me that's kind of crazy. Like, if like, can you imagine if like mom remarried like one of Rich's brothers? Like, that would be insane, or something like that, or like Rich marrying like Larly or something like that. Like, for me that's just crazy. But and so that was also why I just didn't immediately piece that together. But then later I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much more sense, and probably why he was more comfortable with her, because like, oh, it's an aunt and he's probably interacted with her like a couple times. And that's what she said, like, oh, I haven't seen you since you were a baby. And that was the other thing. I was like, was he I didn't understand. I was like, oh, it's because okay. I'm starting to piece it
I'm
together. Sometimes I
piecing
felt
it
like an
together.
idiot. Like an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, I'm like, oh, I just realized that this woman is his previous aunt, but now his stepmother. So, but very good. And then I'm looking forward to I'm gonna watch.
Godzilla.
Yeah, I would like to watch Godzilla. Also more Avatar, and then the two on my list that I'm gonna try to watch this week is the two of the four is Cinema Paradiso, and then Seven Samurai,
Good
which
luck.
are combined 7 hours. Yeah. Or wait, 6 hours?
A
Yeah,
long time.
combined 6 hours of watching.
Basically, what Ty put me through, making me watch Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand. I don't remember making. Oh, because it was on my list. You had to see all the movies.
I just wanted to make sure I watched all your top 100 to make sure there wasn't something in there that I was like, okay, I have to put this in my top 100 or something,
And surprise, surprise, there wasn't anything on it, right?
No,
Was
I
there?
still enjoyed them. I'm glad I watched them.
Yeah, good movies, but yeah.
Ty's just got way too many movies from before 1970 in his top 100.
You guys are
It's
so
funny.
funny.
I feel like Grant, because Grant like hates watching anything before like 2010 because he's so
Yeah.
picky about like the quality.
He is.
And I'm like, you're missing out on so much like great
So
stuff.
many
And
great
like
movies.
anytime it's anything 1970 before, I'm like, all right, this is absolute. I'm like, well,
To his credit, yeah. Oh,
my
go
problem
ahead.
with those movies is just I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure in the time masterpiece and like just revolution, like Good, the Bad, and Ugly. I'm like 100% understand why this was like the most revolutionary Western film of all time. I'm
When
like,
you look at other movies that were made that year too, and you're like, oh yeah, like
yeah,
that one
exactly.
definitely
And so
stands
it's
out. Yeah.
like so amazing. But like that's what I just
Right.
struggle when you're like, this is the sixth best movie of all time. I'm like, I struggle with you saying that. Like it at the time, it may have been that, but it's like
Yeah.
you objectively can't say that with the quality of some movies that have come out
You're like,
past like 50 years. Like, have you seen?
movies these days?
Yeah, have you seen Inception or Interstellar? It's like pretty amazing. Like it's pretty good. I don't know if
And
you've
I'll be
seen
like,
those.
oh, but Christopher Nolan makes such great movies all the time. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, but like, see, that's the thing that bothers me the most. Like, people are like, oh, Christopher Nolan's films like all feel the same. I'm like, but each of them are masterpieces.
His worst. He has one movie that's 8 out of 10. Everything else is a 9 out of 10 or above.
You
Like,
know, right? It's
What-
hard when your batting average is so impressive. You're like, oh,
we can
yeah.
keep talking movies. Let's just wrap this just the pod up really quick. I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Folks, this has been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Leave us a comment. Tell us a movie that you'd like us to review. We love you all, listeners.
Merry
Have a Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. I was getting to that. Chill. Merry Christmas. And we love you guys. Take it easy and don't watch Asteroid City film. And go check out Klaus.